World War I reshaped Europe, lasting from 1914 to 1918. The Western Front became a brutal stalemate with vast trench networks. Neither side could gain a decisive advantage, leading to a war of attrition. The Battle of Verdun, starting February 21, 1916, became pivotal. Verdun, a fortress town in northeastern France, held strategic importance. German Chief of Staff Erich von Falkenhayn aimed to bleed France white. The battle tested human endurance and reshaped the war's course. Verdun's significance lay in its symbolic and strategic value for the French. The battle lasted until December 18, 1916, making it the longest of WW1. Millions of soldiers and civilians lost their lives in this devastating conflict. The German offensive at Verdun was intended to force France to commit massive resources. The battle became one of the most brutal in human history. It would test the limits of human endurance and reshape the course of the war. The German offensive began on February 21, 1916, with a massive artillery bombardment. Over 1,400 guns fired nearly 1 million shells in the first 10 hours. The shelling devastated French defences and cut off communication lines. German infantry advanced using innovative tactics, including flamethrowers. The French were caught off guard by the ferocity of the attack. By February 25, the Germans had captured Fort Douaumont, a severe blow to French morale. General Philippe Pétain was appointed to lead the defence of Verdun. He famously declared, "They shall not pass." This became a rallying cry for the French forces. This included the creation of the Voie sacrée, or Sacred Way, crucial for supplying the defenders. The initial German success was met with fierce French resistance. The Battle of Verdun was marked by brutal strategies on both sides. Falkenhayn aimed to bleed France white by inflicting maximum casualties. The Germans used a tactic known as bite and hold. They employed flamethrowers and poison gas. General Pétain rotated units regularly. Pétain emphasized artillery, saying, "Artillery conquers, infantry occupies." Both sides used air power for reconnaissance and bombing raids. Verdun saw large-scale aerial combat. The battle tested endurance and resources. Germans aimed to exhaust the French, while the French held their ground. The battle became known as the meat grinder due to enormous casualties. In June 1916, the Germans launched a massive assault, capturing Fort Vaux. However, the German advance slowed as French resistance stiffened. On June 23rd, the Germans launched their final major assault, but could advance no further. The Battle of the Somme began on July 1, 1916, forcing Germans to divert resources. This relieved pressure on the French defenders at Verdun. The initiative began to shift to the French, who launched counterattacks in October. They recaptured Fort Douaumont and Fort Vaux, boosting French morale. By December, the French had recaptured nearly all the ground lost since February. The battle officially ended on December 18, 1916. The front lines were almost exactly where they had been 10 months earlier. The French victories provided a massive boost to morale. The German offensive had reached its limit, and the French held their ground. Verdun's significance lay in its symbolic and strategic value for the French. The Battle of Verdun exacted a terrible human toll. Estimates suggest over 700,000 casualties, including dead, wounded, or missing. The French suffered around 377,000 casualties, while the Germans lost about 337,000. The battlefield became a lunar landscape of shell craters and mud. Soldiers lived in horrific conditions, often knee-deep in mud mixed with human remains. The smell of rotting corpses was overwhelming, and disease was rampant. Many soldiers suffered from trench foot and shell shock, now recognized as PTSD. The psychological impact on soldiers was immense, with many unable to cope. The battle also displaced civilians, devastating the surrounding countryside. Farms and villages were destroyed, leaving lasting scars on the landscape. Unexploded ordnance still poses a danger in some areas. The human cost of Verdun extended far beyond the battlefield. The battle remains a powerful symbol of the horrors of war. The conditions faced by soldiers were horrific, with constant artillery bombardment. The psychological and physical toll on soldiers was immense. The battlefield of Verdun was dominated by a ring of fortifications. Fort Douaumont and Fort Vaux were the most important of these. The German siege artillery could demolish even the strongest fortifications. The forts became death traps under heavy bombardment, but still played a crucial role. The terrain around Verdun was hilly and heavily forested, making the battle challenging. Key locations like Mortholm and Hill 304 became the focus of intense fighting. Artillery played a dominant role, reshaping the landscape. New techniques like the creeping barrage were developed and refined. The battlefield became a symbol of the horrors of trench warfare. The use of artillery evolved during the battle, influencing future tactics. The terrain and fortifications played a crucial role in the battle. The Battle of Verdun was a contest between military leaders. Erich von Falkenhayn aimed to bleed France white by attacking Verdun. His strategy underestimated French resolve and overestimated German capabilities. By August 1916, Falkenhayn was replaced by Paul von Hindenburg. General Philippe Pétain became the hero of Verdun, organizing a robust defense. Pétain's key decisions included establishing an efficient supply system and rotating troops. His leadership maintained French morale and became a rallying cry. Pétain's success at Verdun made him a national hero. Falkenhayn's strategy was flawed, leading to his replacement. Pétain's leadership was crucial in maintaining French morale. The battle highlighted the importance of leadership and decision-making. Pétain's success laid the groundwork for his later rise to commander-in-chief. The Battle of Verdun had significant impacts on other fronts of WW1. The Battle of the Somme became an effort to relieve pressure on the French. The start of the Somme offensive marked a turning point at Verdun. The Germans diverted resources, allowing the French to stabilize their position. The prolonged fighting at Verdun also impacted the Eastern Front. Russia launched the Brusilov offensive to relieve pressure on their French allies. The Battle of Jutland confirmed Britain's control of the seas. The resources consumed at Verdun made it difficult for Germany to cope with economic pressure. Verdun's impact extended beyond the Western Front, influencing other battles. The battle's significance lay in its wider impact on the war. The Battle of Verdun left an indelible mark on France's collective memory. It symbolized French determination and sacrifice during WW1. Verdun also became a symbol of Franco-German reconciliation after World War II. The battlefield has been preserved as a memorial, with sites like the Douaumont ossuary. The battle demonstrated the power of defensive warfare in the industrial age. Verdun highlighted the importance of logistics and troop rotation. The battle symbolized the futility and horror of trench warfare. Verdun remains a powerful symbol of endurance and destruction. The battle continues to be studied by historians and military strategists. Verdun's legacy lies in its impact on military thinking and collective memory. The battle's significance extends beyond its immediate outcomes. Verdun remains a grim reminder of one of the darkest chapters in human history.